What's good, YouTube family? You already know who it is. The Brown Brother by need no introduction. I greet y'all peace, positivity, and most importantly, power as I go by being a melanated person in America. And today I want to talk about tips and advice for fatherless young African American males or just fatherless black males, period. I haven't seen nobody do this topic, even though I don't, do that. I just go straight up and right and say what I got to say from the heart and just make it happen like that. So, please like, subscribe, and definitely, stay to the end of the video and watch the video because I believe it's helpful in some kind of way. So the first thing that I would say is not growing up with a father is not ideal by any means. It's not something that I don't think people look for. And having a father is a lot of times a lot of things that we long for. But if it doesn't happen, you can't, you can't beat yourself up about it. It's out of your control. Some people want to say, well, maybe if this happened different, that happened different, this could be this. But when you're so focused on what you need, you can't focus on the what if. If you focus on the what if, you forget to think about the thing that's in front of you, and that's life, and that's surviving, and that's being successful. You got to look at so many black men before us who have become successful even without a lack of a father. Now, having a lack of a father could be so many things. It could be, the death of a parent. It could be so much as a parent just not being in your life. It could be somebody who is in and out. It could be so many reasons. Two people that come to mind when I think of it, J. Cole. Cole didn't really have his father in his life who was not there a lot. He was alive, but he wasn't there a lot. And Cole turned that hurt, that pain, that anger, that whatever he had with his life, and he used it, and he wrote about it, and he talked about it, and he has inspired and motivated so many people, and have been the voice of so many people because the result that he decided to change his narrative and say, you know what, I can be down here in the dumps all my life and say, this situation didn't work out, but I'm gonna do everything that I can to do whatever I can to find greatness and to find success. Another person that I think of is President Obama. I believe that he met his father several times, but he never had a close relationship with him, whether because of geographical distance or just because of that situation. And President Obama turned out to be the president of the United States. He said, you know what? I didn't have my father, but I'm gonna do what I can to make myself successful. I'm gonna study hard and do everything I can to be great in whatever point in whatever situation. And you can go on and on and on and talk about so many men who I don't know they didn't have their father in their life, or maybe their father passed away before they got a chance to really be around them, or maybe it was a pivotal point in their life, and something happened where it was that disconnect, or it was the distance of whether it be geographical or whether it be the distance of life and death. So they didn't have their father in their life, but they found a way to become successful in some way, and look how much that they've inspired others, right? So that transitions me perfectly into my first major. First two were more of advice things, and now I'm talking about more of tips. And that is, tip number one would be, for me, is to find black males that inspire you or motivate you, and see how they act and see how they behave. So what I mean by that is, you got YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat. You got so many avenues of people showing their narratives. And like YouTube, I think their logo is YouTube, broadcast yourself. And they have so many narratives of people showing their daily lives, that a great thing to do would be to find some black males that carry themselves in a productive and a great way, and just study them. That don't mean you have to start acting like them. If you from California and you studying somebody from New York, that don't mean you got to start using New York slang and you got to start, doing everything like that. But what I mean is, find somebody, see how they act, and not so much as patting yourself off them, but see how they behave in the situations, and constantly break it down and see how you can analyze it and use it in your own life. So I would tell you my Mount Rushmore. Now, when people say Mount Rushmore, I know Mount Rushmore is just four. When I say Mount Rushmore, I mean my overall view of great black men. And there's so many to talk about, but I just give you five, and five distinctive and diverse areas, because I don't use just one example for everything. I find five that I know are really strong and concentrated, and I studied them so carefully. So my Mount Rushmore is number one, J. Cole. J. Cole is top five greatest rapper all the time. I see how he articulates himself. I see how he carries himself. I see how he doesn't have a love for greed, but is a man of the people, and how he goes about doing those things in his daily life, how he expresses himself. So Cole is a great example how he came from nothing and became something. President Obama, the way he articulates himself, his educational mindset that he has, the way that he's able to transition and flow, and he's the president of the United States, so he had to meet people from foreign countries, had to meet people who were making $10 an hour, who were around people who were probably making $1 million a day, and how he was so versatile and how he could be in a room where all the people and each and everybody respects him and loves him. I talk about Dr. Boyce Watkins. Dr. Boyce Watkins is a man who's educated about the economic end. A lot of times, that's an underestimated and a neglected part of being a black man in America is the economic end. How not to always rely on plan A, how to always have a plan B, how to have a business, how to have a side hustle, how to always be a man, how to be respectful and responsible. Dr. Boyce Watkins talk about respect and responsibility. Dr. Boyce Watkins, I think he said he had his first kid at 18, but he didn't neglect it and run from it. He took that responsibility. He worked minimum wage jobs. He studied and was still in school and still being a father. And now Dr. Boyce Watkins is one of the premier voices in America. Is making money and doing everything. But he's his own boss. Talk about the spiritual end. I talk about Dr. Martin Luther King, how he relied on his faith, and he was like, you know what? I'm probably not going to make it with y'all to the mountaintop. It's a possibility that I may die. It's a possibility that something may happen. But at the end of the day, I'm so passionate and I love my people so much that I will do whatever I can for them. And last but not least, my greatest hero all the time, you already know I got a big old smile on my face even just talking about it, is Minister Malcolm X. And I talk about how Minister Malcolm X is just so conscious, so intellectual. The brother, excuse me, I can't even call him a brother. The honorable minister started off in jail and robbing people and just being not the ultimate potential that the universe of God had for him. And one day he woke up and said, you know what, I can change my life. No matter how my life is, I can change my life and become better. And he inspired so many people, and he took the ultimate sacrifice of his life. He said, you know what? I'm going to do everything I can because I love my people so much. I'm going to do whatever I can. I'm going to continue to educate myself. And excuse me, Minister Malcolm X had no formal quote unquote education. But he was the smartest man in the room because he studied and understood and knew what he was about. And he held on to his opinions and he stayed true to himself no matter what the consequences were. So finding black males that you can pattern yourself off of, or find certain areas. So like again, Dr. King with the spiritual, Dr. Boyce Watkins with economics, financial, the taking responsibility for your own action. Cole for the inspiration, motivation. Cole how to be a young black man in America, because a lot of these bros I named are over 40 or have passed away, and RIP to each and every one of them because I appreciate what they have done for my life. Cole knows the plight of being a young black male, a millennial male in the 21st century. Dr. Boyce Watkins with the economics, Dr. King with spiritual, Minister Malcolm X with the consciousness and the awareness of life and the understanding what life is all about. So these are people that are there from a distance that I can't see every day, that I can't call up, that I can't be around, but there's so much inspiration that I watch them and take notes of them. But then I would even go to the transition perfectly to the people who are around every day. I believe that in the law of attraction, not only when I'm trying to talk to females or trying to find the girl of your dreams, but I mean this in the basis and the idea of law of attraction every day. I believe that if you put positive vibes and energy out into the universe, positive vibes and energy will come back to you. Karma and karma will come back to you. Universal God will bless you in the sense that if you put out positivity, he will see that and put positivity in your life in return. And if there are negative people in your life, distance yourself away and try to stay on the straight narrative, stay on the positive. So now we talked about brothers that I don't see every day or I can't call up on the phone. But there are brothers that I can. Again, I ask the universe of God to always put positive people in my life. And if you go back and watch the video where I talk about a situation, may this situation help you like it helped me. And I talked about being offered 2 jobs and having no formal understanding of either one of them, but just asking the divine universe of God which one is the right choice. And he helped me find that right choice by me taking the latter, taking the job that came afterwards. So anyway, the man who hired me directly is now my direct boss because I moved to a different department and now he's my direct boss. So 4 people that I would say, and this is another tip I talked about, finding people. So I guess it's like what tip number 2, tip number 3 is finding black men that you're around or whatever it may be, and just strategically using them. Now, None of them can be my father. All these bros, for the most part, got their own family. I've aged out a legal process where I can get adopted by them. So it's no thing of, they actually being my father, or they moving into the household. They can, or finding somebody. How can I put this? That can move into your household and be the father and your mom and your brothers. Nothing like that. I'm not saying that. Strategically find young black males, not even young black males, just black men, period, in your life. That, and I'm not talking just friends and stuff. You can get good peer-to-peer advice, and you can talk about your home, like, hey, what do you think about this situation? If you're cool with your friends like that. But I mean, seriously, finding people who lived a life before you and kind of having them there as mentors. See, we a lot of times neglect the ideal of mentorship. So for me, I got four. Let's say tomorrow that you didn't think about none of your uncles, your grandparents, your fathers, your grandfathers, whatever it may be, that you only had people in your life. If you can at least think of four people, you should be straight. Again, these people cannot replace being your father. A lot of times, a lot of situations I wouldn't even bring up. I'm very, that's me. I'm just very protective about my personal information, but you can be very, you can get some good information out of it. So I give you four people. For me, is my barber, number one. No numerical order, just talking about life. My barber, my boss, my organizational leader, and my mentor. So I'll start off first and foremost with my barber. My barber is cool. I talked about in the video, talking about how to find a great barbershop. And I talked about the idea that you need to find one that everybody knows your name. You straight, you talking to him, your barber not funny. If you sit up there the whole time in that chair and y'all not saying one word, that's not the barbershop you need to be at. You need to find one where everybody takes an active role or an active investment in your life, even if it's so much of, hey, what's going on? How was your week? What's good, brother? Some whatever. You got a business card, you got some business cards you can pass it to you. I'm gonna be in so and so Juneteenth festival. Let me get a couple of business cards. I pass them out for it. That's the kind of relationship that you need to be having with, the people in your daily life, right? So anyway, um, so my barber. So my barber, two things. We don't talk about a lot of personal situations. We don't talk about a lot of personal issues whatsoever. But two things that I have found out that we can talk about is relationships, and we also talk about just being a young black male in the 21st century. Now, my barber's a couple years older than me, which means he's kind of, I give him OG status just because that's the way it is. But he's still a young black man in America, right? He hasn't reached the dad age, right? He's just a young black male in America. What I consider dad age should be, I guess, I don't know, 40, 35, whatever. So he's younger than that. So me and my barber had those conversations talking about the young black male, the plight of the young black man in America, what we can do, how we can do. And then I even go to him and be like, yo, so how is life after college? Like after college or after you hit, 20 something, 28, 29, 30, how did you feel? How you transition from being a young man to just a straight up man is you have to abandon all the young man ways. How did you transition, right? We talk about relationships. We can talk about, I don't use Tinder, I don't use all this stuff, but we can talk about dating in the 21st century and how, how this is and how that is. So again, you have to strategically find people, not using them, but strategically find people to be vessels to help you. You see what I'm saying, through your message. So I consider him a mentor in those aspects. How to be a young black man in America. We can talk about the life. We can talk about the book smarts. We can talk about the street smarts and of things. Then it goes to my boss. I don't talk about dating or anything like that with your boss. That's very unprofessional, not personal situation that you're going through. I don't talk about like, oh man, I got my girl, me and her just broke up. That's really not nothing, you need to be, saying on your job, right? Unless you got a cool coworker and y'all talk like that. But that doesn't need to be anyway. So my boss, I use him for the professional aspect of things. Well, sir, can I ask you a question? When you were a young man and coming up and you fresh out of college, how did you know this was the right area to go into? How did you figure out that so and so is the right way to go? How do you decipher your passion from your dream? Like if you got a good boss, and I'm not saying that everybody does, it depends on where you work, but I got a good boss, a black man, good brother who's my boss, and the end of the how can I put this, the kind of career, I wouldn't say career choice because I plan to do something else, but the kind of space I'm in right now is kind of more of helping people find their potential, kind of how we used to call those people. You remember, you used to call those people who used to talk to if you needed anything, more like a counselor or something. So the kind of area that I'm in is kind of cool. People talking about their life all the time. So I can talk to him about career choices because that is his specialty, is career and choice development and all that kind of stuff. So I'd be like, well, how do you know this is the right angle? Then I talk about my organizational leader. So he's great because I can talk to him about the school end. about this. You're an educated brother, multiple degrees, smart, intelligent. Like, how did you know that this was? How did you know the right class to take? How is this right? How is this being a young black man again in America? We can have those kind of conversations where I talk to my boss about the career, talk to my uh, um, Barbara about the relationship in, about the streets in, and kind of life. Kind of we can have those kind of conversations. I talk to again my boss about the professional things, the career things. I talk to my advisor about the school things, about the educational things, about the how did you know that when to stop getting degrees, when is having is your bachelor's enough, is your master's enough. You can talk to him about those kind of things. How do you know that helping others is your passion? We can kind of go into the organizational things, the in-depth things. So my passion is to help young African American males find their potential, and that's his potential. That's his passion as well. So we have those kind of conversations. And then last but not least is my mentor. I always talk about it all the time. I advise, like, single mothers. You can put your sons in basketball camps or something like there's so many great things. If you live in the South Carolina area, definitely check out the Making of a Man if you're under the age of 18, and try seeking you get involved in that program. It's a phenomenal program ran by some upstanding brothers. The Making of a Man. I may leave that in the link in the description box below. But I got my mentor who I've been around for years and years and years. And we can talk about those personal issues. Now, I wouldn't go as far as to say, yo, what do you think about this? I made a mistake, and I think you something. It's nothing like that. But we can talk. I mean, how can I put this? I don't go so personal, and I don't live my life chaotic like this. Nothing like, yo, I think I got this girl pregnant. Like, it's not, I wouldn't be saying nothing crazy like that. Now, I know if I did, I could still come to him for good advice. But what I mean is, come to him. I can come to my mentor about situations like, yo, okay, I think I'm getting ready to make a major choice in my life. What do you think would be the this A, B, or I come to him about my spiritual end. Yo, I just feeling like, I'm just being, torn left and right, or I feel like, God ain't speak to me the way he is. He has a religious background, so I can talk to my mentor, which is, you can talk to him about the spiritual end. That's what they find a good church home. You can find, that, if you've been in church for a long time, you got, the one mentor, whether it's your pastor or whoever it may be, who you can talk to. You understand where I'm coming from? So I already knocked out 4 categories with 4 different men. Now, if I had a father here, it would be the dream to have a person who knows all things on all topics, right? And you could talk to them about each and every topic, and you can have those 3-4 hour conversations. But that person, with these mentors, they may not have 4 hours. Now, if I just really needed that, I'm sure they would do it for me. But in the thing, a barber getting a haircut is probably about an hour. Before I get my task and dues when boss, and I may get a lunch break and may have a break from work, is usually you may get about 30, 45 minute. Just, I don't mean break as in coffee break, go get something to eat or whatever. I mean a legit break, nobody coming in asking no questions, and me and him can talk one-on-one, maybe 20, 30 minutes before somebody comes in and have some questions for us or the telephone rings. When you gotta look at who else I talked about. I talked about my barber, organization mentor. I may have an hour before the event starts. I can talk to him as we're setting up, and so forth and so on. So you have those. So you have those times where, of course, you're like a father, but I've just knocked at the spiritual end, the relationship and the young black male plight end. I knocked at the career end and the educational end because I have 4 great black men that I can talk to and facilitate, right? So it's about mentorship. And again, like I said, again, you have to be guarded. I don't, that's just me. I had to get to know a person. I had to see their outstanding, and hopefully your moral compass and your be able to decipher characters is good. But if you kind of been around that person for a while, and everybody that all my mentors that I just mentioned, yeah, they know my family. They know me. Everything's straight and legit and concrete. So you can try to build those relationships, then it's good there. You dig what I'm saying? And then even if you start no fresh, like, well, I don't have any of those people, definitely start off by finding you a barbershop where, everybody knows your name, and it's a friendly atmosphere, and you can just talk about the plight of being a young black male. You can have those conscious conversations about being a black male in America. That's the first step to find something, because you may be so much burdened and so heavy with so many things weighing on you. And being a young black man in America, that's going to be one of the heaviest things that's resting in your heart. And when you can at least get some things out in the air, even your brother, like, man, I don't even know. But you can have those conversational dialogue back and forth. That's the first thing you can do. Again, I talk about being in an organization. You can find an organization. I know so many colleges have black student unions, so somebody may have like I know like Penn State, I believe and Penn State, Michigan State, a lot of HBCUs have things where they have black male organizations where for young black men they need academic help or something, like, man, I'm just struggling. I'm with college, or just my me college struggling. You can go get, not only get a tutor, but go get some advice from some young black men or some black men who've been there before you, or maybe even the organizational head of the NAACP, or again the making of the man, who they can talk to you just about just life in general, right? Then I say find a good church home. Definitely, I probably in my lifetime, went to one church my entire life. Then it kind of got to when I went there, and I just had to find multiple choice churches until I found the church that did right for me. And a lot of churches have things called small groups, where you may have a men's group, where you may have a singles group, where you may have a college group, like for all the college students, and you can go get the spiritual end. How do you resist temptation in college? How do you resist doing this? How do you resist not quitting school when it gets tough? What does God say about XYZ, right? So there's just so many resources out there if you just look for them and try to find them. And I do admit that a lot of times it's hard when you don't have the transportation for it. It's hard when you don't have this and don't have that. But if you actively seek it and ask the universal God for it, usually sometime it will find its way to you, and it will just align perfectly. Like I say again, just guard yourself. I don't say a lot of information. You got to get to know people, and you got to be straight. But if you continue to search for it and ask universal God for it, you can usually find it. So again, it's hard. I would be the last one. I'd be the first one to say it's not hard, and it's not and the situation of not having a father is not ideal by any means. That if you could have it, you would want it. That I believe your life would probably be better financially. You wouldn't be, if there's a situation where you're struggling financially, it wouldn't be a situation because both parents be working in the household. If it was a thing, you see your mother, and how how tough she has it, she'll be a lot easier, and the burden will be off her a little bit more. You would not have to be the man of the house and have to make those tough decisions and stuff. But at the end of the day, you have to embrace it. And what I mean by embrace it is you can't run from it, you can't neglect it, and at the end of the day, you can't do it. So you may be like, well, man, I don't have a father, but at the end of the day, I'm no consolation prize. At the end of the day, I'm here because God put me here to be a blessing for my younger brothers and sisters, or be a peer. If you're upper class in the high school, you're a senior, you may try to start a group in high school for the young black males in there. You can kind of show them, and even not so much as, well, let me be the father to everybody, because again, you may not have all the answers, but it's so much as, let me at least be an example. The way I dress, the way I talk, the way I handle myself, I can at least be an example. If you have younger brothers and sisters, you can try to help them with the areas that you make mistakes in. And you just being a good example, and you live your life the best way you can, and they see you at the table studying, while you could be up there playing video games, or trying to spit some game. If they see you 4 o'clock in the evening with a book on the table and you studying, they best better follow suit, or usually they will follow suit because they see you doing it. So even just the way you live, you can be an example and be a great role model, right? So it's just reciprocating that. Be like, well, their life can be a little bit easier. I learned from my mistakes. I'm trying to learn. Maybe their life can be a little bit easier. Their life can be a little bit better by the actions that I take. So it's just being respectful and responsible about your actions. I believe Cole said it best. When I going back to the thing talking about these mentors and just talking about people to watch, he was like, first thing first, rest in peace, Uncle Phil. He was like, for real, you only father that I ever knew. I get my girl pregnant, I'm gonna be a better you, because he saw Uncle Phil as a man, as a role model, and as an example, right? And he saw that, what, this dude may just be a fictional character, but this is what some of the characteristics of a man really is. And that's why I talk about, the ideal of finding somebody. I talk about, style guy. I talk about just finding people, to kind of look like, yo, how they do this, how they articulate themselves, how they carry themselves. Damon John, how he's a businessman, how does he do so many things, right? It's just about finding great avenues, and finding people. And I promise you, the more active role you take in being successful, whether that's starting a bow tie company, whether that's going to some organizational events, Rather, doing the more active role that you take in trying to better yourself, the better that you will find better people on your same level, or people trying to get to that level. Not saying that every situation is going to be perfect, and if you join an organization, it's just going to be boom perfect. You may have to find multiple ones. You may have to just circle around until you can find somebody that's not fake. But sooner or later, if you keep searching, I believe, this is just my personal belief. If you keep searching for the right things, sooner or later, some of the right things will begin to come. So you just have to just look right. And it's just about just doing all that you can to be the best that you can. And again, not having your father at your birth, whether that be your physical birth of you coming at your mother's womb, whether that be the birth or how they say the rebirth of getting baptized, or how the Renaissance era of how can I put this, when you going from being a boy to a young man, what we call puberty, or rather you going through the journey of manhood, that you go again birthing from being a boy to a man. You may not have a father there, but don't let that be the cause of your premature or untimely death. Don't let that be the cause of you saying, you know what, I'm gonna quit. You know what, I'm gonna go sell some drugs. I'm gonna go join a gang because my father went there, so I need to go do it. No, don't go do none of that. You continue down the path that you are, and you just say, you know what, I'm gonna make my name mean something, no matter what it is, no matter the circumstance why your father's not there. Whether it be your father just walked out, or your father passed away due to health issues, heart attack, whatever it may be. Rather, your father, for whatever reason, he's not in your life. You say, what, you know what? Thank you, God, for everything that you've done for me. Ask for gratification. Say, you know what? Thank you. I appreciate. I have appreciation in my heart that I'm at least living and breathing, and that if I ever have kids, I can at least be there for them. I can at least do the things for them. So you have to take your life into your own hands. And that's something difficult to do when you're still growing. You wish there was somebody there who had those hands, almost like how they say the potter's house. You wish you had somebody there to kind of mold you and make you who you are. But at the end of the day, you have to mold yourself and make yourself who you are. And if your father's not in your house, not in your life because of certain situations, you'd be like, well, let me at least be a role model and example to my younger siblings, or let me at least, when I join this organization and I become a youth leader, let me at least, tell my story to maybe help somebody else. You tell yourself, if your father wasn't there because of a medical situation, let me exercise and eat healthy, for I can be there for my kids, I can be there for my younger brothers and sisters if it's a medical crisis while your father's there. Whatever the situation is while your father's not there, you take that into a court, you take heed, you don't beat yourself up about it. You say it's not ideal, but at the end of the day, you do whatever you can to discipline yourself. And that's the hardest thing to do, is discipline yourself. Because the father's a disciplinary figure, he's nurturing, he's kind, but at the same time, he's a disciplinary figure. And you kind of see how it is to be a man. You kind of see that your mother with your father, husband, wife dynamic. And you're going to miss out on some things, but you don't let that missing out be the opportunity for you to miss the great gift that is life. We only come here once, or at least what I know of. So why would you waste that beautiful opportunity and go do some great things? Take the opportunity to go do some great things, and don't miss out because you missed on having a father. Don't let that be the reason why you miss out on life. So peace and many blessings each and every one of y'all. I am the Brown Brother. I shall make a part 2 of this video if y'all want me to. And as always, if you have any questions, comments, or everything, leave them inside the comment section down below. Don't hesitate. I'll try to answer them if I can. So peace and many blessings. I'm on to the next one. Peace.